Composing music from DNA? The hidden code of life in genetics. In 1984, deep inside Japan's National Cancer Center, two researchers, Kenji Hayashi and Nobuo Munakata, were hunched over a computer, their eyes fixed, their fingers precise. They were entering something extremely sensitive into the system: DNA nucleotide sequences. In a world where digital tools were primitive, researchers had to input long strands of genetic data, sometimes thousands of lines by hand. The monotonous repetition of just 4 letters, adenine, G guanine, C cytosine, and T thymine, meant one mistyped letter could derail the entire process, and tracking down a single error could leave one questioning their sanity. The question loomed: was there a better way? Then, a spark of inspiration. Hayashi and Munakata wondered what if each letter of the DNA sequence could trigger a sound when typed. Could sound help detect errors instantly? Even better, what if the sequences themselves could form a melody? Just like a familiar song reveals an off note immediately, perhaps DNA music could unveil patterns and mistakes. Without hesitation, the two scientists dove headfirst into the world of music. DNA becomes music. In Western music, each octave contains 7 basic notes: do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, si. But DNA only has 4 nucleotide bases. How to match them? Hayashi and Munakata realized DNA's double helix structure is held together by specific pairings. A pairs with T, and G pairs with C, wanting to reflect this symmetry in sound. They chose musical notes that also had a symmetrical relationship: mi, sol, and la. Since the GC pair forms a more stable bond than ATI, they mapped G and C to lower, more grounded notes re and mi. A and T were mapped to sol and la. They also knew that placing the larger GNA molecules next to each other could distort the DNA structure. To reflect that instability, they assigned G to re and A to low notes that, when played together, create an unstable leap in the melody. And so, their final mapping emerged. G equals re, C equals mi, T equals sol, A equals la. Interestingly, these 4 notes only occupy 2 lines of a musical staff, making it possible to represent DNA with a simplified 2-line score. Their work was published in the prestigious journal Nature, where they showcased how segments of DNA, when turned into music, could evoke distinct emotions. For instance, when they converted a segment of human T-cell leukemia virus type 2 into a musical score and played it on a synthesizer, the resulting melody was mournful, almost as if it carried the sorrow of disease within its notes. A scientific symphony. Their paper caught the attention of scientists around the world. Many began experimenting with their own nucleotide-to-note mappings. Among them was Professor David Deamer from UC Santa Cruz. He reached out to Hayashi and Munakata, sharing that he had tried a different mapping: T equals mi, G equals sol, A equals la, and C equals duand, found it produced more colorful and charming melodies. Repeating sequences created delicate, airy tones. And genes like insulin sounded upbeat and industrious, almost like a tune of productivity and joy. Deamer even teamed up with musicians to record a DNA suite and founded a company to sell DNA music tapes. Clearly, his talents extended beyond science. He had a sharp commercial mind too. DNA as a composer. But it was Japanese geneticist Susumu Ohno who took DNA music to another level. He noticed a profound similarity between genetic patterns and musical composition. DNA often contains repeated or mirrored sequences, much like classical music, which builds on themes through repetition and variation. Ohno compared this to the sonata form in music, which consists of 3 sections: exposition, development, and recapitulation. In the exposition, a main theme is presented, followed by a similar but slightly different second theme. In the development, these themes evolve, and in the recapitulation, they return. So, Ohno didn't just assign notes, he gave DNA the full treatment of a composer. He analyzed melodies for highs and lows, adjusted pitches, and transformed DNA sequences into actual musical compositions. Through this, he revealed the innate musicality embedded in our genetic code. Then he went a step further. Ohno reversed the process converting classical music into DNA sequences. In a striking example, he turned the third movement of Chopin's Funeral March into a DNA strand and discovered a shocking similarity with the phosphorylase active beta chain of the human insulin receptor. Could it be coincidence? Or was music tapping into something deeply biological? The sound of the universe? Legendary inventor Nikola Tesla once said, "You want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration." Albert Einstein echoed this with, "What we call matter is energy, whose vibration has been lowered to be perceptible to the senses. There is no matter." Science now recognizes that the universe is fundamentally vibrational. Everything, including our bodies, vibrates at its own frequency. Sound, as a form of vibration, can influence us in powerful and invisible ways. Enter cymatics, the science of making sound visible. Cymatics involves using mediums like sand, salt, or water to visualize sound. Ancient African tribes once spread sand on drums and watched patterns emerge as they played. Galileo noted similar phenomena in the 1600s. And scientists like Robert Hooke and Ernst Chladni later developed the field. Chladni, in fact, is now known as the father of cymatics. In the 20th century, Swiss physician Hans Jenny coined the term cymatics. And in 2002, British acoustic engineer John Stuart Reid invented the cymoscope, a device that imprints sound waves onto water, capturing minute changes with extraordinary clarity. If music can shape particles in water into intricate patterns, could it also influence the fluids, molecules, and even DNA within our bodies? The power of resonance. This brings us to resonance. In 1665, Dutch scientist Christian Huygens discovered it while observing clocks. When two pendulum clocks were mounted side by side, they eventually began to tick in perfect unison. This phenomenon, now known as entrainment, shows how one vibration can synchronize another. If musical vibrations align with those of our DNA, could they cause harmonious resonance at a cellular level, possibly enhancing our health? Healing through music? That's exactly what modern scientists are exploring. The field of epigenetics, the study of how environment and behavior affect gene expressions, that music might influence gene activity. Sound waves can affect cell growth, protein synthesis, and neurotransmitter release. This is called sound therapy, the dark side of music. Fast forward to modern times. Some believe that the popular music industry, especially in the West, has been hijacked by darker forces embedding chaotic rhythms and harmful messages to manipulate emotions, stir unrest, and glamorize harmful behaviors like violence, drugs, and promiscuity. Pastor Gerald Johnson claimed that during a near-death experience, he descended into hell and heard earthly music being sung by demons. He warned that many songs and lyrics might be demonically inspired, designed to control listeners. Whether you believe such accounts or not, the message is clear. Music matters. It doesn't just enter your ears, it touches your soul and perhaps your very DNA. So why not fill your life with the elegant vibrations of classical music? Bach, Beethoven, Mozart, and let your cells dance in harmony to a higher tune.
Subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss what's coming next. Share it, because some stories are meant to be discovered together. And stay curious. I'll see you in the next chapter.